I'm joined by Geoff Boycott to look back on another convincing Test match victory for England here at Trent Bridge. They've gone 2-0 up. It was a different sort of performance, Geoff, to Lords, because they had to fight very hard over those first 2 days. It was nip and tuck. What did you make of the overall effort and how they've come out so dominant in the end?
Well, I've always believed in most Test matches I've played or seen that if you have two decent sides playing, reasonably equal, they'll both have opportunities to win the match. But the best side is the one that takes those opportunities. And it's quite obvious that in the first 2 days there was nothing much between the sides. There was opportunities there for India to grab the initiative and maybe win the Test. Many of us thought that if India got a 50-run lead, and I was one of them, a 50-run lead on first innings, they had a great chance of winning the Test match. But the difference is that England believe they can beat India. They're not just trying to beat them, they actually believe they're a better side and they expect to win. And so when the going got tough, they got tough. And I think that up to lunch on the third day, when Bell and Peterson had to start the morning, it was tight. If India had got Bell and Peterson out with England 2 wickets down, still behind, I think they had a great chance of winning the match. But the problem is, the quality of the Indian bowling is not great. When the ball moves around quite a bit, that medium pace swing, they're made to look quite good. When the pitch flattens out a bit, or the ball gets softer, that's the key in England. When it gets softer, loses its hardness, and the seam, the raised seam of the Duke ball, then it goes through slower. It's easier to play, it's easier to hit, it's easier to score. And Bell and Peterson took the game away from India, and by lunchtime, from then on, England just murdered in India. They did. They just took the game away from them, they butchered them, they bruised them, they smashed them to all parts, and in the end, 417 runs in a day on a pitch where for 2 days, batsmen have struggled to score, said a lot about the quality of the England mindset and their batting, but it said a lot about the quality or poor quality of the Indian bowling. And if you'd have seen them by the end of the third evening session, 187 runs came in 2.5 hours. On pitches where the balls moved around, everybody's found it a little difficult, and suddenly they were smashing the ball to all parts. Pryor just murdered the bowler, with Bresnan as well. 180 some runs. The fielding got lousy, to put it bluntly. The people diving over the ball, trying the hardest, but it going for 4. They just couldn't stop the ball. And it was absolute chaos, mayhem. Call it what you want, use whatever words you want. But it looked like men and boys by that time. It looked like England could play and India's bowling couldn't, and the fielding couldn't. And there was so much on top, England, that then when they came on the 4th morning, they just scored quickly again. The field placings, the lack of quality fielding, the bowling, it was just all over the place. I mean, it was just slaughtered in the sun. And by the time England got bowled out, they could have declared long before. They were beaten with India. They were beaten before they batted. And I said, I looked at the pitch for the first time this 4th morning, and I said, when you get the hard Duke ball, when it's got a raised seam, it's hard and shiny, you can get wickets with this. And if England make inroads early on, they'll bowl India out. And that's exactly what they did. They made inroads early on. And really, this is a comprehensive beating.
If we just go back to the first couple of days again, England twice came back late in each day in the final session. Stuart Broad first with the bat, and then with the ball obviously was a hat-trick. But let's just go back to the batting. That shows again, doesn't it, the value of having batsmen lower down the order. We've seen Bresnan again on this 4th day score 90. Shows how important it is to have batsmen who can not only survive but can also score runs down the order.
Yeah, it's pretty important, but they've made a policy of that, of trying to tell everybody you got to bat. I mean, Swan struggled with his bruised hand from the ball that leapt at him, but actually he can bat, and he's made 20s and 30s and good runs. This time he struggled because of his bad hand. So there's a lot of them can play. But it's more than that. I mean, India had some good performances at times. I mean, Rahul Dravid's 100 was special, it was wonderful. Sachin played a very good 50 second innings. Anyway, the bowlers stuck at it. Yeah, I mean, Praveen Kumar, I think he stuck at it well, Sreesanth, but they're a little slower than the England bowling. So they're a little easier when the shine goes off the ball, when the hardness goes. A cricket ball, when it hits a pitch, there's never been a cricket ball that hurries up, speeds up. When the ball goes through the air and hits the deck, it slows down. And when you get a soft ball, it's like a soft tennis ball, it slows down more. So it's easier to play for a batsman. England's bowlers are more aggressive, more intent, you know, they bowl a bit quicker, so they're putting the Indian batsmen under more pressure all the time. And the biggest problem for India is that their bowlers, once the ball goes soft, are not causing a problem for England, so the late order batsman can get stuck in. And Harbhajan has just been non-existent as a bowler, so they're actually bowling on 3 bowlers. And 3 bowlers, 2 of them have had a lot of bowling in the West Indies and are tired. And you know, it's difficult for them, no matter how good your batting are, if you can't bowl, you've got a big problem, because you can't finish people off.
If we just go have a quick chat about one of the, I suppose, the controversial moment of the Test match, a lot has been written and said about it already. Ian Bell run out the ball before tea on the 3rd day, reinstated during the tea interval, comes back. What did you make of that entire situation, Geoff? Was it well handled? Was Bell lucky? Did Dhoni do the right thing?
Look, I'll keep it simple and reasonably short. Look, Bell was out. The laws of the game, he was a silly boy. He has no right to decide it's tea. Doesn't matter whether he presumes and assumes it's 4, he has no right to do that. We all know you wait to see the umpire do that. Every schoolboy knows that's 4. Every schoolboy knows that the umpire at the end of lunch, tea, end of play calls time. And then you can do anything you want. The game is dead, the ball is dead. Nothing like that happened. He assumed, because the fielder fell over, that it was 4. He had no right to assume that. The fielder threw it in, he was running out, he was out. Purely and simply the laws of the game. India have nothing to reproach themselves about. The fielder was right, the running him out was right, Dhoni was right to ask for him given out, the umpires were right, he's out. And now he's admitted that, there is no embarrassment and no blame to India or the Indian players. He was a silly boy. Now then, there's nothing in the rules that says Dhoni has to take back the appeal. For good relations, it's probably the best thing that happened. If I was asked to do that, having had time to think about it as I did at tea, I would have probably done the same. And I hope most people would have done it, because it just would have soured the cricket. And I thought Rahul Dravid summed it up best of all. If Sachin Tendulkar had got run out in Calcutta by an England fielder, there'd have been a riot in every city in India. There'd have been a riot at that ground, the England team wouldn't have got out. So that says it all for me. Always put yourself in the same situation. Would you like to be run out like that? He was a silly boy. I don't think he'll do it again.
I guess we need to remember he was on 137 when that happened.
Oh, he played beautiful innings.
It was a wonderful innings, wasn't it? Perhaps Bell's best, do you think, in Test cricket?
No, but it's one of the best because he actually played beautifully. He has a wide range of shots, good timing and touch, like my Prince of Calcutta, Sarah Ganguly. He just times the ball beautifully, wide range. He can do anything, front foot, back foot. He's been playing fantastic for a year and a half. In my opinion, he's the best player in the England team. Not Peterson, everybody focuses on. I'm a Kevin fan, but technically, and he's got, I think he's been average over 100 for a while now. He's playing fantastically, and he did it when England could have gone under. Like I said, if he'd have got out and Peterson, England in trouble, because they only had the Irishman who had no runs by then, and he'd have been under pressure with the seamers, because it's the seamers that do him. He got 70 runs against your nonsense bowlers, didn't he? Really nonsense bowlers. But as soon as they took the new ball, he got out, gone, thank you. So he might have got out, and there's Pryor, who was batting well, and probably Broad, who can bat. So you could have knocked England over. And it was because he got it at the moment when England needed him to get runs, and he got it beautifully.
Moving on to the fourth and what's ended up being the final day, the star man in England's bowling attack was the man who came in to replace Chris Tremlett. Tim Breslin's ended up with a 5-wicket haul to go along with 90. it shows many things: the strength and depth of English cricket, how good a cricketer Tim Bresnan is. He's made a real mark, hasn't he? It's going to be difficult to see who to leave out when Chris Tremlett comes back, if he comes back next week.
Well, I think they'll pick Tremlett if he's fit, definitely, because he has to. He's been playing very well for England. He's been in the top three, him, Broad and Anderson. Personally, Trott's not fit, which is a strong probability with a shoulder injury. I would bring Tremlett in for him. I'd bring another bowler. I would. England go with the 4-man bowling attack, but personally, I think we ought to try 5 bowlers. I really do. And I don't think make it. I think also it's a good time to try it. They don't like it. They like 4. They like the batting. But 2-0 up, I think they're going to beat India the 3rd test.